Now, the African Growth and Opportunity Act has created 350,000 jobs between 2001 and 2011. The numbers have emerged as the third day of the forum came to an end and wrapped up in Johannesburg. African countries are calling for an extension of the trade deal to stimulate investment. Now, the current agreement comes to an end in 2025. But let's discuss this further with international relations expert from the University of Johannesburg, Professor Siphamandla Zondi. Good to have you with us this morning, Prof. Let's talk about AGOA as well as the expectations that I guess African countries have had and African businesses have had for this particular AGOA 2023. From the look of things, did it meet the expectations of the African countries as far as not only discussions about the renewal of AGOA, but also increasing the items that are actually exported from African countries into the United States?
Yes, good morning and good morning to the viewers. Yes, indeed, the African position has been that they need the renewal of this AGOA treaty for another 10 years. And renewal is not extension, because extension would be to extend AGOA on current terms. But they want renewal, which means get new energy into it. That energy could come from identifying other products, other services, other ways of facilitating trade that have not been part of the earlier one. Looking at incentives for investors, looking at working toward more industrial expansion of industrial places by investing in building factories on the African continent, not just extraction and all of that, and working on how African economies could also contribute more value-added product to the U.S. market. And lastly, to expand the range of benefits for this for these. About 80% of the trade currently really is dominated by 5 countries, especially the non-oil AGOA export. It is South Africa, Kenya, Lesotho, Madagascar, and Ethiopia. So they can't just dominate. They're looking at renewal, which it means you offer better opportunities for everybody. All the different countries of the continent that offer very different economic benefits to filter their benefits better into the system, now taking advantage of the fact that the continent now has the African common free trade area that is meant to facilitate a trade with the U.S. and with all other international partners.
One of the highlights and one of the topics that was brought up in, as you call it, a renewed AGOA, is the expansion of small businesses and small businesses being given access to AGOA. How would this really mark a difference in how AGOA is positioned now when you start bringing in the smaller players, small businesses?
Oh, yes, of course. It's one of those ways of reinvigorating trade. We know already that small businesses, small and medium enterprises generally, and have now become the locomotive for a lot of new trade on the continent and outside the continent. And globally, everybody is waking up to the great role that these enterprises that are agile, that are nimble, that can offer a variety, that are closer to the ground so they can trickle the benefits to people on the ground and affect livelihood a lot better than big conglomerate multinationals that are concentrated and monopolistic. And therefore, across the board, in all of Africa's strategic partnerships and everything, there's a growing call to make special room and special support for the small businesses to play a meaningful role in all of this, so that we can sustain all of these trade relationships and not concentrate them, but actually make them more widespread and more distributive, and the benefits of that more widely distributed. It's something that is very critical, but it's something that will require that the renewed act should make specific provision for this area to be protected from being outcompeted by big conglomerates that are involved in this bilateral trade. Fortunately, if you look at, for example, South Africa and the US, there are over 200 small US companies that are doing trade with South Africa. And those will benefit also, just as the large number of African small tech startups and small food growers, agro-business and all that. If we go in this direction, it looks likely to benefit both sides.
And I think that is very welcome news for smaller businesses as well, that they too are able to take advantage of the tax breaks when wanting to export their products into the United States. Professor Siphamandla Zondi, thank you so much for your time this morning. He is Professor in Politics and International Relations at the University of Johannesburg as we round up AGOA 2023.